welcome everybody. We are going to try to tell you how it is to start a Lolita brand. I'm Fluffy Kawaii Jo for Joelle, and my brand is Fluffy Tori. A lot of people think I'm called Tori. No, I'm called Joelle.
Where does Tori come from? Is it like...
Oh, it's just a cute bird in Japanese. Okay. So basically, yeah, birds. We wanted to do something with Fluffy, and then we looked at all the names of animals in Japanese, and we found that Tori sounded nice. So my plan for today is to share my story about how I created Fluffy Tori. This is the official thing, and we'll see the truth by the end. The thing was, I was going to speak for 20 minutes, and then she was going to speak for 20 minutes.
Also, hello, I am Spooky Sparkle Party, otherwise known as Rae. Lots of people call me Spooky, or a very mishmash. I'm Toronto local. Jo is from Switzerland.
From Switzerland, yeah.
She came all the way from Europe to visit us. I do primarily plus size, spooky, cute stuff, mostly Lolita. I do have a lot of casual stuff, but I'm trying to get more into the Lolita and OG.
And I'll just start with the team. So Fluffy Tori was started with me and Mezzo. I'll explain how later. And then we now have a production manager, that's Tiffany. She also has a brand, her brand is called Dandy Puppeteer. I don't know if you know her. And I was so sick of working with the factories directly, so I've hired somebody to do that way better than I. And then we have Eden, who is handling the community, and he was originally an intern with us. And he stayed, and we love him. And those are my two extra friends that are here mostly not here today. They're with me usually in Switzerland and Europe when we do a booth, and they're helping. Emily and Maya. Yeah. Do you want to talk about your team?
The Spooky Sparkle Party team?
Yeah.
So I'm the owner, the seamstress, the illustrator, and then I have a couple of nice people who come out and help me do sales. So if you go by my booth, some of my staff from KCON are actually at my booth, Val and Drea, and they're both very lovely humans who put up with my nonsense.
Just a little bit of intro. I'm 42 years old and I'm from Switzerland, and I hate when I have to say what I'm doing, but I would say I'm an entrepreneur and content creator. So I started my first brand when I was in college, and I'm now doing 8 videos a week on YouTube, so most of my time is focused on YouTube at the moment and less on Fluffy Tori. I do not have a formal instruction in fashion whatsoever. I'm a computer science major, and I had a minor in Egyptology, and I ended up here somehow. So I don't recommend maybe computer science, but I don't recommend also studying Egyptology. Why would anyone do that? But you know. And so I started cheerleading, and I started 2 programs, and I went to Worlds, and then out of a video game that I created, it ended up making a uniform company, and this is how I was in the fashion business. And when I started Fluffy Tori in 2016, I had already 8 years of experience working with factories and the like. And I started Lolita in 2008. This is the first photo that I could find, so maybe it was a bit earlier. And I learned about it through fruits. I don't know how did you learn about Lolita?
I learned about Lolita through cartoon dolling on PHP forums in 2001.
Okay.
So, and people were stealing artwork to make vases. This is when like Hannah, like before. I never even learned about Mana until after I was like really into Lolita. But like people were like, Hannah is so Lolita, but she was just like an idol. I don't even think anybody actually knows who Hannah is anymore. But that's how I learned about it.
So I didn't even know when it was. So I was in that I learned about J fashion in general, not Lolita. I was with my class in a museum, and there was the Fruits magazine. So if people don't know Fruits, it was a photo book, art of street snaps from Japan. And there was a revelation. It was like, oh my god, people are allowed to dress like that. It's a thing. People are dressing like that in the street, and it's possible. And so that was mind-blowing. And then I went seriously doing meetups and everything in 2015, and I'm daily Lolita since 2002 apparently. No, it's been 3 years that I'm wearing daily Lolita. And I started YouTube at the same time as Fluffy Tori. And now I have almost 2,000 videos about Lolita fashion and cozy gaming, so
that's pretty awesome. Did you know that Dr. Zaki Hawass is doing a tour right now?
I don't know who that is.
He's like the guy in charge of the Egyptology Museum in Egypt. He's
Yeah,
that,
okay.
That's why I'm mentioning. But he's going to be in Toronto. But his tickets are so expensive. You could buy so many Barando for his tickets. I'm sad. My intro, I am 39 years old. I keep telling people I'm 40. I guess I'm also an entrepreneur, but I worked in animation for like 15 years. Basically, my job was like a professional drag and drop creator. I used to create puppets. I used to manage a whole bunch of teams. The kind of Lolita that I wanted, it just didn't exist. So I started doing drawings and having it printed on fabric and making my own. And now I'm here. That's like, how do you start a brand? That's it. But I've been wearing the fashion in earnest since probably like 2010, even though I've known about it for a lot longer than that. Lolita, I started out as a steampunk Lolita, and I'm a little goth today, but now I'm a froth mouse sweet Lolita. It's a lot more fun, as one of my friends likes to say. I don't do YouTube. And if anybody watches my content on Instagram, I do very bad videos.
So I'm going to talk about more YouTube later, but I'm not editing anymore, everything myself. So
You need help for that.
I have help for all the boring stuff, and then I do like the cool stuff myself. You want to know how Fluffy Toy started? This is a stupid story. I went to see an image consultant because I wanted to learn how to dress better in general. I was not a Lolita at the time. But I had a coat, like my everyday coat was a Lolita coat for years. And she said, she was a normie, okay. And she said, your thing is fine, but it's too long for the way your body is built, so you should have a coat that is more matching your morphology. So I was like, okay, sure. I had this coat made to order, and so let's find out what is the new trend in coats in Lolita, because this one was like, oh. And so I was like, okay, maybe I can commission somebody to print on it. And so I realized that no one printed on coats. And after doing some research, I realized that's because you cannot really easily print on wool. You can do it on like, how's it? Like those.
Polyester.
No, but this fluffy thing, you know, like you would have. Yeah, exactly.
Minky.
Minky.
Yeah.
But it's not actually the fabric you use for coats, especially not Lolita coats. And so I was like, okay, so if I need a coat that is thick, I could put wool inside and then put some cotton over. So then, okay, so let's print on cotton. And then I found some places where you can print your fabric for cheap, like spoon flowers, things like that. So like smaller quantities, but they were so expensive. Like $25, like USD, something like that for 1 meter. And I would need about like 3 meters. So anyways, it was too expensive. And then I found a place in China where they would print the thing that I want. 1 meter would cost me 8 USD. So I was like, oh, that's perfect. But the minimum is 10 meters. Sure, so I can do my coat, and then I could have a dress for the same print. And then I could make an extra dress. So then I can just sell the dress, whatever. And then I was like, why would I stop at one dress? So if I have one extra dress that I'm going to sell, why would I only make one? Why don't I make like 10 and then sell those 10? And then somehow I realized I had made a new brand after. I was like, 2 months in, well, okay, apparently I have a brand. But then we produced this coat that we designed here, and it was terrible. And then I decided that I did not want this coat for myself. And the story is that, okay, I don't know why it's cut out, but I think it took me 4 to 5 years after I had created Fluffy Toy to finally have a coat for myself. I still had that ugly coat that girl said, it's not for you. And I started my brand to get this new coat. And so yeah, this is the one that I have now. And it's been, I don't know, how long has it been? 9 years. So I think I have it for 6 years, something like that. So I'm very happy with my new coat. That is not the one that I made to create Fluffy Toy. I think on the next slide I have the, why is it like that? Okay, but you can see the coat. and that's the only photo I could find of this coat that exists. And I think that it's been for sale for years, like, and eventually I would not be able to sell it, so I think I sent it to Kuroshiro Kawaii, and finally somebody bought it.
Was it Lena? Was it Agato?
Do you know?
I don't know,
Okay.
but I feel like Agato would, because Lena collects all of our cursed one-offs. Like if you want to curse
MG,
one-off,
if you know who owns this coat, I would be so happy, because yeah, this is insane. Yeah, we celebrated like when we finally sold that coat that we created. Okay, but then I'll start to talk about this first collection, but do you want to talk about how you started?
So mine, like I said, like when I started doing this in 2016, like I was making a lot of
Was
my...
2016 also?
Yeah, I was also
Okay.
26. Because I've been sewing my own stuff for years and years and years, because I was a broke Lita. And then I started designing my own prints, and then a friend of mine was like, hey, I'm doing a fashion show in the summer. Do you know any designers? I'm like, I make clothes. I could be a designer. I make lolita. I will dress people. So the first fashion show I did was a Harajuku. It was Dolly Momohiro who ran it, and she was a lovely human, and my brand wouldn't exist without her. And Spooky Sparkle Party is, the name of it comes from the first chat that I named with my friends, who I roped into being my models for that. So that's where that came from. And now I'm still one person doing the majority of the illustrations. I tried to get a couple manufacturers and run into some issues because I also don't have a formal fashion training, because I'm an animation person. So I don't speak the same technical language as they do, and they don't speak the same world language as I do, so it's really just a mess, and the pictures mean different things to everybody. My first actual print that I started offering to people was Sparkle Bats, and the first time I started selling it was for RuffleCon in 2017, and I was convinced that I was going to get 30 pieces sewn between July and November of 2017, while also working full-time. I got almost 10 of them done.
That's impressive.
And the rest of them I'm still working on.
So do you have orders for like 20 dresses that people are waiting?
No, that's my UFO catchers. So I don't know if you've seen those, but it's like, hey, these are my unfinished objects from like almost 10 years ago.
By the way, I want to make a segue because you said that you started because you were a broke Lita.
Yeah.
Can we talk about the fact that nowadays, sewing your own clothes is not cheaper at all than buying Lolita. So don't even think it's a good reason to start a brand, because
No, it's a terrible. There's a lot of bad reasons to start a brand.
Maybe back in the days it was harder to buy Lolita and it was more expensive, but people don't realize like, I can make that shit myself. Even if you don't even count your time, the fabric, the everything, it's way more expensive than just buy. But even I don't know, if you go buy fabric that is good enough and just sew it, the yard that you need for your dress is more expensive than.
But yeah, like if you're not designing your own fabric and having your own fabric printed, and you're just using something from like, the stock fabric at like Fabricland or Lensible or something, that will be cheaper probably than buying brand, but you're probably also going to spend like 10 to 20 hours sewing it.
So this coat we ended up making, I hired this person called Mezzo. I don't know if you've heard of her. Now she's on Instagram, she's Mezzogram, and she has very popular shoujo manga style t-shirts that says "fuck the patriarchy," things like that. I just hired her. I think I found her on DeviantArt, and back in the days, and she had done some Lolita, and she was a Lolita. I wanted somebody in the fashion to design my prints. I just hired her to make my design, and then she was like so invested in it that we said, why don't we keep doing it? And so my first collection was so ambitious because we went with 3 cuts, so OP, JSK, and skirt. And then we made the custom fabric in 4 colorways, and we had 2 lace made in 2 different colorways. Back in the days, I could have only 500 meters, or was was it even 100 meters? I don't know, of lace. I don't know how it was possible, because lately when I wanted to do it again, they asked for like 1,000 meters minimum.
I'd go through that.
So I would not. The big one that you would have at the bottom, it's like, okay, I don't know if we want to do the math here, but if you have the smaller one, you can use at like some seams and a lot of other places, and then you can use that. And then we still had some of that smaller lace that we used in the coats and everything. Yeah, but that was crazy for our first ever collection. And so right after we sold all the dresses, like the samples and everything, we was like, okay, let's do more. And said, no, actually we don't want to do your stuff anymore because it was too complicated, and so no. So that was the first factory that we tried, and in the end, I think we are now at 7 or 8 different factories that we tried all over the time. So it's either you have the skills and you sew at home, or you try over with a new factory every time. So
and like having the skills and sewing at home, I actually can't keep up with the orders of people. Like I've had a lot of people come into our booth this weekend and be like, hey, do you have this? I saw this on your Instagram. I'm like, no, either A, it's already sold, or B, it's not available yet, because it takes me so long to sew. Like I do really need to get manufacturing. This is something I've been saying for a really long time. Because I don't have the formal fashion, I can't communicate to the factory exactly what I want, and I run into the same kind of issues that you had, where they're like, no, this is too difficult, or we don't know what you want. We don't like this. You're fired as a client.
Exactly.
It hurts. It's like
so
emotionally.
I don't remember this first factory, but then we find other factories that were not specialized in Lolita fashion, and then they would do like the shirring in the back so weird, like something like medieval backings, like things like that. So not like we want. We started by finding places to print our fabric. Like I said, I found this manufacturer, and then we had found a place to ship the fabric to that we did not even see in between. They shipped from the printer to the factory, and we only had photos. And so this is where a lot of shit happens. And then we find some places that would print and also do in-house, but also they did not have proper Lolita training. And then now that we actually have this proper Lolita factory, they handle the printing for us, but that means that we have no check on the printer. So they do the check on the printer, and for some reason we decided to print on cotton, and for some reason printing on cotton is extremely more difficult than printing on polyester, because when you do small batches, they use a different technique than the final run. So you'll have like, imagine like if your white fabric is somehow folded when it's printed, then it opens, you have a huge white line in the middle of it, and then they say, oh, but this will not happen in the final version. And you're like, it's a different issue. So this issue will not happen in the final version, but then we'll do a different way of printing it later. So then other printing issues arrive, and then the factory will not inspect all the 100 meters, and so then they will sew a dress with a huge line in the middle of the front instead of, I don't know, putting it in the back or using it for a cut. Yeah.
That's the problem. Like that's a challenge you face where you have everything done at an overseas manufacturer, where like to get everything checked and have that kind of QC. Like we're such small brands. Even Joe, we've got like 5-6 people on staff now. That's not enough people to do a full proper QC of everything. Like really needs to be done. So we run into a lot of problems like that. And that's another challenge of being a small indie brand.
And so if you thought with 1 minute that the 5 or like 6 people you saw there are salaried people, not at all. So I do not get a dime from this. All the other people are paid by the hour. The people in my booth are not even paid at all. They just get the free convention passes and free food and everything. So we'll talk about money later. But this is not like, hey, I have a company with 6 people. This is not this. definitely not.
Yeah. Well, like even like the older brands, like I was at Great Lakes the other month, and their English rep Connie, he was saying that they're also just like barely breaking even. And like to be a Lolita brand, you're doing it because you want to be involved in the community. It's not like you're gonna suddenly get rich. You're gonna be here and existing, and a lot of us have other things that we do to pay the bills.
Or
Like,
not.
Or not. Like I'm unusual in that this is the thing that is paying my bills, but that's a whole other different thing that I could rant about for a long time, but we're not gonna talk about that right now.
If you want to hear about how something else is not paying your bills, come to my YouTube channel later today. I'm just going to speak about what's on the screen now.
Do it.
The creative process. Usually I come up with an idea, like for this dress. So we'll talk about it later also that my motto is everybody can be kawaii, but I had the idea. I wanted like every single person being represented on a dress, like let's do representation on a dress. And so I come with a crazy idea like that, and then I'm like, Mezzo, please show something with this. And then when I say we all chime in for changes, we used to, when we were designing, have like weekly meetups. And so people are all over the world. I did not mention that, but I'm in Switzerland. Mezzo's in Berlin, Germany. Eden is in Lyon, France. Tiffany is in New York.
Yeah, she's in Connecticut now.
Yeah, okay, so North America. And the other two are local to me, also to Switzerland. So we are all over the world, and we'll just through Zoom. And it's not because somebody is community or somebody is the designer or something. We'll all like, yeah, can you do this or this or this? I'm not saying that when we'll, at some point it will be like 20 people, we'll all do that, like have the accountant share the ideas. But so far it's like, if you have an idea, it's totally fine. It's not me as the boss. Oh yeah, I remember for the dress I was wearing the other day, I was kind of the only one who wanted, like, being super, like, I do not want this on the dress, and all the other ones were like, oh yeah, I think it's fine. I don't remember what it was. It was some kind of a thing on the pattern. So, sorry?
Was it something that was lavender?
No, it was not lavender. So, okay, so my brand is like, everything must be, at least one of the prints must be mint and pink, because I'm going to wear it at conventions. And, I mean, this one has all the colors. But other time, we need to have a mint and pink colorway, because I'm like not wearing the or anything, you know. So, and no lavender. We did lavender, but like at least one mint or pink. Yeah, and so I was like, it's not because I'm the boss. I don't want to have to use my veto for saying I don't want this on the dress, but like I'm really trying to convince you guys to admit that. I don't know. I was like, even if you're 4 against me, I cannot say because I'm the boss. This is how it's going to be, and I don't want to be that person. It's my brand vision, but also like there are more people representing what the consumer could be. So it's not because I would like it that everybody will like it. And so even if you know what would sell, it's never what actually would sell. Like, you know.
Yeah, that's like me with the neon greens right now. So I put up a picture of a neon green cyberpunk Lolita dress, and people have been asking me when they can buy it since it was an April Fool's joke this year. every time I see people, they're like, so when is that actually coming out?
But if you now take the time to produce it, you'll not sell it. People might like ask for it, but
I
might not be
the
the people who
pre-orders
sell
for
it.
it.
Oh, okay.
They can pay me for it, and then I'll make it for
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
I'm not making like 27 of them, though.
Exactly. Okay, and then for Fluffy we use kind of a lot of the community. So, for example, on this dress, there's 37 different characters, and each of them have names. And so we asked the community to come up with the names for. I'm going to show you some of the process of the Sweet Chocolate Journey, another print that we did. So we were inspired by Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Sugar Rush, from Wreck-It Ralph, and Candyland. And then we just started. I mean, Mezzo did those sketches, and then we tried something like this cotton candy clouds thing. and then I do some kind of super rough putting on the dress, and I realized that those cotton candy things were not working. So we decided also the other one on the right, we tried those clouds, and yeah, I was like, no. So we set up with something more like in the middle, but I needed to just visualize like that, just super lovely cut. And then Mezzo does something a lot better, and then this is how it looks in the end.
Like my process is pretty similar. Like I did say that like I start out with like the name, and then I do sketches a lot like that. I'll have on my computer at home, like my desktop has like all kinds of folders with like the name of the print I want to work with, and all like a whole crap ton of pictures of like things that I want to put in it. Like there's a tea print I've been working on since 2018, and I keep finding more like cute snacks I want to put in it. Like that's one I don't think it's a repeat. I think it's like really long, but that's like over 100 hours worth of work. I'm still working on it.
Wow.
Yeah, like Ossuary Pop Shop, the one that's currently available. That was at least it took me 3 weeks to do the illustration for that.
Wow.
Of working full time on it.
I think in the Kickstarter we had 8 colorways, is it possible? So I think now we ended up with only, oh no, I think it was 6. Like 3 pastel ones and 3 other ones, and then we ended up only ordering the ones that got selected, and there's still 4 colorways, 2 cuts, 3 sizes, and you need stock in all of that.
Yeah.
So that's 24, I think. No, is it? I don't remember. But it's too many combinations. And we only have 3 sizes, and they have sharing, so they're pretty generous. We have small, and then the medium, and I would wear the medium, and the large would fit up until 140 centimeters.
Yeah.
So I think it's called large, but actually, if you compare it to Chinese sizes, it's like 5X or something.
Yeah. Well, in a Western sense, that would be like a 2XL.
Yeah. Sizes mean nothing.
Yeah.
So this is why we speak in centimeters, and in the US they speak in inches. How do you do in Canada?
So I'm old enough for Canada that I speak in inches, but
Okay.
most younger Canadians would speak in centimeters.
Okay. So if now you tell me inches, I have no idea. And thankfully the Japanese and Chinese brain also speak in centimeters, so I'm good.
If I can make a note.
Sure.
As somebody who is like in the sciences, I prefer centimeters because I use them a lot more and they're more precise than inches.
Unfortunately, that doesn't really help in sewing, because
I know.
1/4 of a centimeter, they don't have a mark for that on the ruler.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
So like, it's easier to do divisions when you're sewing in inches, because
I
usually you
see.
have those kind of divisions. Because like a 16th of an inch doesn't matter, but that's actually like a larger percentage of a centimeter.
But then that's why we have millimeters.
Yeah.
Just like,
But then if you're off by like 2 millimeters and you're sewing/cutting, you're not going to notice that.
I don't
Here's
know.
a whole.
I'm not sewing then, but
We're good on time.
Yeah. Okay. Something that I just wanted to mention that was originally my YouTube channel's motto, everybody can be kawaii, because it was so important for me that, I don't know, so I realized that a lot of people were telling me, oh, I love how you dress, but I could never do that because I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm not, I don't have a light skin color, I'm a guy, and I was like, but that doesn't really matter, and there were not people expressing that enough. So I decided to say everybody can be kawaii, and really putting that as a main thing in my YouTube channel and doing interviews and showing people actively. And then at some point we realized that this is something very core to everybody, to us at Flow Factory, and we decided that there will also be something for Flow Factory. And so you can see one of my friends, she is wearing the dress in XL, I think. So no, the blouse was in XL, I don't know. I think it was a bigger size than what we had because it was a sample, and we also made a child dress, which nobody actually ordered, but we have this now. Oh, we talked about the factories and everything. Exactly, we talked about that. I just want to say that we make so many different things, like not only dresses, but also accessories and everything, and all of them is a different factory. Obviously, you do not make pins at the same place that you make dresses or socks or whatever. So this is a lot of different people to communicate with, and if one closes, you need to find somebody else, and Also, I talked about printing on cotton. I just want to say that it's harder, but for me it was important. A lot of Lolitas really like the original prints by the brands that are in cotton and everything, but first of all, it's so wrinkly and I really hate working with this because you need to steam it all the time. And also, polyester is bad because it releases microplastic every time you wash it. But to make cotton, it's also not that eco-friendly because it needs a shit ton of water to actually produce it. So there's a lot of other things that are better for the environment, like tencel that is actually from wood or bamboo. But it's already so hard to find places to print on cotton and know how to do that. So that if you want to print on those other fabrics, you need to find specific factories that might be far away from the factory where you make your dresses, so they cannot work with together, and so they might not all have the knowledge, and it's so expensive and everything. So it's not so hard, it's not so easy to just say, let's be eco-friendly and everything. So it has a lot of very different sets of issues.
We also run into the issue, because like the one factory that you and me and Tiffany were all talking to, they do have a cotton printer, but their cotton printer will not actually do any cotton printing unless you're ordering like Temu/Shein levels of inventory quantity, and then you run the risk of knockoffs of your prints lining in Temu and Shein, because that same printer is using it and they're just going to reuse the fabric.
I mean, we only did 30 dresses and 30 skirts, I think, last time. So
Was that the same printer? Because they.
I don't know. I mean, it was this factory who printed on fabric, on cotton first. So. I don't know. I'm not the one doing it anymore. That would be Tiffany. So yeah. Just some of the products and my lovely boyfriend and lovely Lord that we collaborated with.
And he's wearing your glasses. I think that's very.
He picked them up, so for some reason I was sure, go ahead. I also want to talk about how we are selling and promoting, because we have probably different things. You can look at me and Menzo being super ETA back in the days, and how we had almost nothing on our food table, and this is something like last year. Like you can see how busy my booth is, and so this is not even half what, like we have 3 times more than we have today, but yeah.
I'm just laughing at your first booth, because my first booth that I actually was selling at that RuffleCon 2017, it was the 10 mostly finished dresses that some of them still needed to be sewn together. And I've been joking with people about like me sewing models into dresses in the green room, because that's a thing that I did for a while. But my very first table as Spooky Sparkle Party was the, however many dresses laid out on the table, and me sitting there with my sewing machine in the dealer's room, trying to finish them. 0 out of 10, would not recommend. I slept like 45 minutes that week. And like the week before that, my paternal grandmother died. So I also had to go to a funeral, and I signed up for like 2 fashion shows. Listen, ADHD is a hell of a drug.
I cannot compete with this.
No, it's not a competition. I'm saying don't do what I do. Like this is how I started a brand. It was very much by accident. And I would not recommend starting a brand by accident. Do it on purpose. Do it intentionally.
I mean,
you had the same.
Mine was also by accident.
Yeah, do it on try to do it on purpose.
Yeah, quickly, we sell on the website at conventions. We have a couple of resellers. They're all closing now, but we still have those few. I was able to sell in Japan in a pop-up store in Tokyo last year. It was amazing. I did not even cover the cost of going there. So the flight was not even taken into account because I was doing things. But with what I sold in 1 week, I did not even cover the cost of the thing and the hotel. But it was an amazing experience. And two years into my brand, I was able to have a fashion show in Japan, and it was like, wow. And so, okay, for me as a European person, I was in Japan selling dresses of a fashion that was inspired by European fashion, and then selling it back to the Japanese people. I was like, this is so meta. But I really liked it. And it was an amazing experience. Don't do it for the money. I think this is going to be the motto of this, this panel. Don't do it for the money. I'm so happy I can say I sold my dresses in Japan. Lately we've been doing Kickstarters, and when we cannot go on an event, we always try to sponsor the raffle or something like that and send things so that we are fresh in the minds of the people.
It also, like recently with tariffs coming in, it gets really tricky figuring out what you can actually send to the States right now, because those tariffs keep changing, and like if we're using manufacturers in China that have significantly higher tariffs than manufacturers in Canada or Switzerland and Europe, like we're not sure between the time that when we get stuff made or when we make stuff to the time it gets to the person it's going to, what the taxes on their end is going to be if they're in the States. So a lot of places have stopped shipping to the States. Like I got a big box of my stuff to Lolita Collective before the tariffs got in, so they have some of my stuff there, but I don't know what I'm going to do after.
Yeah.
And like, all your stuff from them in the States is now in my house or at our booth, right?
Yeah.
So.
And so even though I'm from Switzerland, my biggest market was the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the places we've had events. Oh yeah, we made a few collabs. Cool. Should you start your own brand? Don't do it for the money. Do it if you think it's fun. And don't even hope to get a salary. And I think don't do it at all. So that's the truth. So every time I do a fashion show, I'm like, I love the part when the people walk on stage. This is all the glamour that people see. Oh, you're doing fashion show. This is amazing. You're a fashion designer. And they see the 10 minutes of all your model working on stage. But it's like tens of hours of just looking at spreadsheets and sizes of models and what can I put together, what do you have in inventory, and communicate it with everybody, all the things before it happens to be this 10 minutes. And I'm like, every time I'm like, why am I doing fashion shows? I hate that business. I'm so proud. I made this and it's on the stage. That's amazing, but why? So, yeah.
Like when you're done, you're like, I'm done. I want to not be wearing Lolita. I don't want to be wearing clothes at all. And your models are also like that, because walking fashion show in Lolita especially is a lot of extra layers. It's hot. It's just kind of stressful. And usually you don't have time before you do the walk to take photos. So then you still have to wrangle everybody, because even though it's like 3 hours to do your setup, you have 5 to 10 minutes on stage for 3 hours of prep. And that's just getting people into the clothes. And then you still have to remember to take photos, which I always forget. And nobody, including yourself, wants to be there anymore. You want to go like stick your face in a cat and take a nap for like 3 days. It's very, like a lot of this it's very tiring.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of work.
But I want to point out that this year's fashion show people made the photos for us. They made sure our models got photos, so thank you again. Everybody who did the fashion show, that was amazing. Thank you, and we know it. Just quickly, the future of Fluffitory, our last Kickstarter was terrible. We lost a lot of money. So now I'm just selling off of my stock for, I think it's been almost 2 years. So we have not done anything new, and I don't know if people realize, because we're still selling and everything, we're still here, but we don't have anything new. And because I'm not focusing on YouTube, I'm not thinking about spending a huge amount of money in new collections. So yeah, thank you for inviting me, even though I did not have anything.
But you bring lots of fun content. You're a fun person to
I'm
have.
a multi-hyphenate people, so that's why they invite me, because I do a lot of things, but yeah.
Future of Spooky Sparkle Party, I'm actually going to be doing monthly releases for the next little while. I have a schedule about it and everything. Yeah. Most of them are already drawn and have 17,000 colorways. Like, yeah, I'm going to be putting out, like this one that I'm wearing is June, and it'll be coming out for Christmas because it looks like a Christmas sweater. All the colors you themed. I'm really pleased with it. I like it a lot. And like also your Top Shop is the one that's coming up right now. I forgot what after June is. It might be Cicada Mancy, it might be Serbian Dreams, because people got really excited about that one. In the neon green. And I'm gonna be the one that makes fetch happen. I am making Cyber Lolita a thing. It was foretold by the prophecy. I have to. I got it. Does anybody have any questions for us? I think we're at question time. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi. My question was, like, how do you find trustworthy manufacturers? Essentially, they're overseas. Like, how are you like, you're gonna make it happen?
We would like to know that.
Yeah. I think the last one that seems like the good one is the one that other designers that are our friends have been also trying for years and finding this one that works for them. And I was like, okay, now give me your contact, because I was bad at finding the other ones. But I think mostly, like, sorry?
They fired me.
Yeah. So this manufacturer fired
Yeah,
you?
yeah, they
Why?
fired me.
No?
Because they couldn't print my...
Your content?
I'm still trying to get them to take me back. I'm promising them maybe I can change. Be less of a difficult client. Please,
Oh, no.
please, I need your help. But yeah, recommends from friends is kind of the least expensive way of doing it. But also recommends from friends doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get the manufacturer you need.
Yeah, also I think like you said Henry and Povithal are using this.
No, Tiffany's using the same manufacturer, but she's having issues with them too.
Okay.
Because they're
But-
going through a whole thing.
Okay. So, but I know 2 other brands that don't do the same kind of dresses as us. Like they print on polyester, and so they have different.
No, Puvi's main manufacturer was the manufacturer that closed for her printed stuff.
I see.
The one that
Yeah.
everybody was using.
But other than that, if you need like we made water bottles. We find them on Alibaba, so it's a good thing. But then you have like 10 different ones that does one thing, so you have to try. And at my first manufacturer, I sent the same design to 3 different places, and I looked at what came back, and it was so different. You have no idea how different it was.
Yeah.
And we did that for the bag also, and so some they were different. So you need to invest money in trying different things, and
Yeah, you definitely want to get samples made. You don't want to just order 100 of whatever, because not only is that very expensive, but it's really, really sketchy. Like, you are going to get a wild adventure. And if you are talking to somebody on Alibaba, see how they communicate with you. Because like how they communicate, it's going to make it easier or hard for you to communicate back to them. And like having your spec sheets as best you can without any kind of like formal training, that's going to be like, that helps you to communicate with them in a technical way, but it's also possible to give them too much information and they'll get confused. I think that's what happened with me. But yeah, definitely test out, get friend recommends. I have a printer here in Canada that I'm using for my fabric now for my dresses. Art fabrics, they're really good. Their quality is really nice. I'm very, very happy with them. And they do also, their sister brand does the print on demand stuff, but their print on demand is very expensive and not as nice quality. Like, you'd be making like $2 or $3 per piece and you'd have to sell it very, very expensive. So I haven't been getting enough to do my stuff for me. But their fabric is a good price for what it is and better quality than spoon flour. You have customers.
Yeah.
I basically had the same question. I was going to go ask how you go about finding a manufacturer. But I do have training in that industry, so if anyone is sitting here thinking like, wow, I don't know how to talk to a factory, what you want to search is what is a fashion tech pack, what is in a fashion tech pack, examples of fashion tech pack. And that's what companies use to communicate with factories.
Through a lot of trial and error.
Yeah.
Through a lot of trial and error.
I was trained how to do it, so I guess I have a leg up in that regard. But
You
yeah,
do.
just in case anybody here is sitting like, I don't know what to do, that's a really good place to start.
I suspect probably every one of your teachers was also like, don't do lolita fashion, that's not real money.
They didn't know what it was. I would like design a dress and then be like, is that some kind of like Japanese thing? And I'm just like,
I'm looking at going back to school because animation kind of imploded a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I was hoping it might come back, but I'm looking at going to school for the technical fashion so I can do this better.
Are you in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto. I'm looking at going to George Brown.
George Brown.
Yeah,
It's quite
I've heard good things about George Brown. So that's my plan. Yes, question.
How did you learn how to sew? Because you mentioned you don't have any, I don't know, it's just
I have been sewing since I was 3 years old.
Wow.
Badly.
Badly.
I went to hippie school as a child. Waldorf, do they have that in Europe? Okay, so it's kind of like Montessori, but it has structure. and it's like a weird Christian folk school that's for the anti-vax mommies. And they're all about like the holistic child rearing. So I learned how to do like knitting, sewing, crochet, like almost every handwork. I skipped the year that we learned how to do cross stitch, so my cross stitch is bad. But yeah, I learned that in elementary school. And then I just kind of like YouTube University has taught me a lot of things. I'm watching a lot of like TikToks from all the manufacturers. They're like, this is how I do this faster and better. I'm like, teach me your ways. Person who is sitting like just at you're like in some kind of like weird industrial thing where you definitely should be wearing steel-toed shoes and you're not wearing shoes at all. Why are you putting up TikToks about this? But teach me how to sew a pocket, please. I'm having trouble.
So are you saying that in Canada you don't learn how to sew in school?
No, you have to actually take like specific courses. Like that's not like home ec is not a course that you would normally get in elementary.
Okay.
Like we used to have handwork classes where like we do like different modules or anything. This month we're learning how to knit. We're gonna knit a recorder bag because we also learned how to play the recorder. I can play the pentatonic fiddle flute.
So in Switzerland, we all learn from, I would say, 8 to like 10, 12, like really sewing machine and everything. And then after that, it's you decide if you want to take like cooking or sewing or woodworking or something like that. I knew how to sew, but I did not practice, so now I can do things, but if I wanted to sew it, JSK would take me ages. So, and people are like, are you making the things like sewing by? No, so unfortunately not.
Just do you even learn like pattern making from that and stuff like that?
No, pattern making is not holistic. They would never do that's too many numbers combined with the art. Numerical art is only geometry. You can't combine pattern making. That's too commercial art. Cut to me working as a commercial artist for 15 years. I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons as a child. My rebellious phase was working in animation. I wasn't allowed to watch Mickey Mouse. It was too violent.
Wow.
True fact. I totally forgot about that.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for visiting. Come see the booth.
Yeah, we have a booth
Pretty
in Artist Alley G19.
It's G19.
G20,
We're right by the
yes.
VTuber booth.
Yes.
Like right across from it. We get to see all like the mini concerts and everybody doing like the World Order like stick show. It's very good.